Hello, everybody. Oh, I'm hearing myself. There we go. Not hearing myself anymore. Hey, I just thumbs up myself. Sorry, guys. How's everybody? Let me just shut down this. Open this. And make sure everything's all right. Look at that sign. Clear of any interference now. How's everybody? Everybody happy? Well, I'm just going to get this out. It's a little hot in here. A little hot. Here we go. Anyways, I got the best t-shirt in the world. Hey, everybody. Welcome aboard. This is the Shortwave Radio Show. Hope you guys are hearing me really well. And I got the microphone on that side to kind of minimize the space that it takes and to maximize the on-the-air sign, the clock, and everything. And usually here there's a radio that I've been using this afternoon, so that's why it's not here. And I've got a beer. So this is a cranberry flavored beer. And I bought the last case of 12 beer that was in the grocery store. So people are not just hoarding toilet paper. They're hoarding beer at the same time. So I was happy to have the last case that existed. And now it's getting complicated. I had to wait about 40 minutes in line because now there's a maximum number of people at the same time that could be in the grocery. So they have this big security guy making sure that nobody goes in without permission. It's strange times. And that's why we're here, to forget about all of that. Oh, man. Let me just start this. 3:15. Well, some activity on 160 meters. Let's try Voice of Vietnam 7315. Oh, real good. Voice of Vietnam. Real good on 7315. Of course, what else than whatever's happening they're talking about? Yes, I was. David says he loves the mic on the sign much better. I was looking at a video the other day. I was sitting down doing videos. I think it was yesterday. I was doing videos, and the first thing I thought was, you know what? Why the hell is the microphone there when it could be here? And when it's here, it actually extends further back in my office. So that means I can be further back to do even the videos in the daytime. Why the hell didn't I do that at first? So that's why now it's here, and it takes much less video space. So, by the way, guys, YouTube has degraded videos around the world to 480p or standard definition. So you might actually see this stream going out in standard definition, when in reality, here it says that it's streaming out in 1080p. What that means is that if it's blurry, because you're on the big screen, go into the settings at the bottom of the video and check out. You can boost it back to 720 or 1080p if you want. The reason they're doing that is because so many people are at home that what's happening is it kind of puts a stress on the internet a little bit. So streaming videos, like even Netflix does it, and so on. They're kind of throttling down the quality a little bit so that there's less bits being going around the internet. But let's fill the internet with bits from the official Shortwave show. I think that'd be a good idea. So, welcome aboard. This is the Wednesday edition. Thanks, everybody, by the way. I got so many cool comments of people that responded to my Sunday night show saying, you know what? Thank you for what you did on Sunday with what's happening around the world. It was so cool to have this happening and to have a live show that kept my mind off of regular life, whatever's happening in life. And thank you so much for doing that Sunday thing. To answer a question, some of you said, is this going to be every Sunday? Look, don't expect it every Sunday. But you know what? Who knows? We can show up anytime, not even just Sundays. It can act or Sunday. It can actually happen at other times. So, let's check it out. And it can be Sunday afternoon if it's a Sunday, not just Sunday evening. It can be at different times. We're gonna check that out. But thank you so much. A lot of you just like, I think I felt good with the amount of people saying, you know what? It kept my mind off of my anxiety, my stress of what's happening. And you know what? It's cool. I'm happy. And I hope that we can continue like that. That's why let's limit the amount of information in the chat room and that we talk about of whatever's happening. I mean, we are overwhelmed in our own lives. This afternoon, honestly, I think it's the first time this happens to me. Late this afternoon, I was actually starting the supper. I was starting to cook food, and I was kind of feeling a little down. And I realized that down feeling is probably from the fact that my regular life and social life and everything that I usually do is not happening, and somehow I'm kind of missing it. And it you know it's rough, but we're going all through the same thing. And what's interesting, and what I find interesting here is, world events happen at a local scale most of the time. It doesn't happen that a world event is a global event. And now we are living in a global event. We're living in a moment where, whatever country you're living in, we're all in the same place. We're all living through the same steps. We're all confined to our homes. It's a complicated thing. And wherever you are in the world, we're all living the same thing. And this is very unique because it's not something that happens every day, that the whole world suddenly realize that something major is happening and we're all in the same boat, all on the same planet. And just to say one phrase that one little paragraph that I saw on the internet. We need the earth to live, but don't forget that the earth does not need human beings to continue on. And so let's try to focus on radio, focus on anything else, and just forget about our regular lives for the time that we're together here, and be happy doing what we love, radio, and enjoying what we love, radio. This is the Shortwave Show. We are here twice a week. Well, this week is going to be 3 times, but usually it's twice a week, officially. And this is the Wednesday edition, which is 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, 0 UTC, which is UT Thursday. So a bunch of you watching are actually on Thursday. And we have the Friday edition, which is 4 p.m. Eastern. No, yeah. I'm all messed up with the time. 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, 20 hours Universal Time. And We talk about radio and just have fun. And tune the bands. Voice of Vietnam, 7315 kilohertz. It's via WHRI in the USA. And so check it out. And one of my favorite, I like Voice of Vietnam. It's one of my favorite listening in the evening. Usually comes in really well here. And it's really cool to listen to that. So don't forget, there's a beautiful, amazing, fantastic chat room, um, which is available if you have a Gmail account and you can interact with everybody. I think we can safely say that this is one of the most beautiful bunch of people that just have one and the same um, basic need, and it's to have fun with radio. And we are truly having fun with radio, and we're all truly a bunch of guys and girls that are focused on sharing our passion. And this is like a big party, a big we are tons of people around the world together, like if we're in a big room, and we're all we'll all just be um we're all just having a great time together, I think. So the other thing that you can do, because when this is over, everybody feels alone, everybody feels left out. It's that gang moment that we had, it's gone. Well, it doesn't have to. There's the official SWL channel, which is another amazing place with amazing people helping out each other. And that place is where we, continue the fun and the party that's happening here. So, when you go there, you can post questions, you can post pictures, videos. Just if you don't have anything of that, just post whatever you're listening to. Watch what everybody's listening to. It's fun to interact. It's fun to, oh, there's a pirate. There's I don't know how many times I've seen this week a post on the channel. Oh, I'm listening to this, and I saw the post, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna try it. And this is fun. It's interaction, quick interaction. So if you look at the and look at the group regularly, you have quick interaction of what's happening on shortwave, what people are listening to. You can try it yourself. You can interact. You can comment. It's fun. Actually, I almost wish I did this earlier. I mean, for a long time, people have been asking me, "You should do this. You should do a group. You should do whatever." Well, you know what? Now it's there, and actually, it's a lot of fun. So this is another way where you continue interacting with the friends you have here. And even if you don't post, because let's face it, we often say this is a solitary hobby. And let's face it, a lot of us are solitary in nature, anyways. And actually, it was so funny because this afternoon I was talking to a friend of mine, and we started talking about being in our little bubble. And my friend is very bubbly. He's in his little world, and when I talk with him, it's like normal. It's we're having an interaction and everything's all right. But when that person is in a room with other people, he kind of shuts down, and he's like, the only person he talks to is Jill. It's pretty much the way it happens. And it's funny because every time we meet, it's like you're all like talking like crazy, but when we're in a room with tons of people, and at the other side, he looked at me and said, you're in a room with 30 people. I think you talked with everybody in one evening. And it's like I just don't see the same guy that you were 10, 20 years ago that was pretty much like me. And I'm like, yeah, I'll find a way to kind of go into that social thing and just talk with everyone. But that's the personal experience over time. We I think being social is something that you can actually get into eventually if you just go with it. But when you're introvert a little bit, what happens is you tend to not talk a lot, and it actually is that wheel spinning backwards. You don't talk a lot, so not a lot of people talk to you, so it never really happens. And it was just funny. It was like, yeah, I know. I'm the guy that's going to jump into the 40 people that I don't know. They're all going to be my friends at the end of the night, and we're all going to get together, have a beer or something. Um, like what I do here. Although I'm a little shy, it doesn't show here because I'm looking at a computer screen and a chat room. Although I should maybe be as shy as whatever. But then again, if we would be in the same room, I don't know. How would I act being in the room with all of you physically there? I think I don't think I'd be that different, honestly. Not with today's experience on who I am. But that's where it's okay. You can be in the Facebook group, watch what's happening, try out whatever you see somebody posting, and not have to interact. You don't have to. You can just be there are people that are contestants and they're spectators. You can be just a spectator, and it's fine. We're not asking that you interact, honestly. Like here, I'm not asking that you officially interact, but it's fun to know you're there. It's fun to know that you exist in the radio world. If I had one wish, if anyone would just say hello once, you don't have to interact or anything. Just say hello. I'm in wherever, Birmingham, Alabama, or whatever. And I love what you do. That's it. Or I hate what you do. You can say I hate what you do. I'm not going to be offended. Not everybody loves what I do. And by the way, cheers. Um, but at least we know you're there. Some people send me emails. By the way, official shortwave radio at gmail.com. Say hello. And say, I'm one of those invisible guys that watch every show you do and love what you do, but I never participate. And thanks for what you do. There's all of that, and it's okay. And you can be a member of the Facebook group. It doesn't engage you in anything, and you'll be part of whatever is happening. You'll be part of all the details of what people listen to. You'll be able to try what people listen to, and you don't have to interact ever. You can just be a spectator. It's fine. I got no problem with that. We're not all in the same place, and if being a spectator is the thing you like, cool, no problem. Talking of spectators and participants, Mark Cope, WA5153SWL, Dallas, Texas. By the way, the Facebook group is official SWL channel. Official SWL channel. Like the name of this channel, exactly. John W. in East Tennessee. Nice to have you here. James Powers in New Hampshire, KC1ENJ. Bobby Burgess in Morgan City, Louisiana, USA. WA5107SWL. Simon Templar, nice to have you on board from his Covey Bunker 2020 here at work. John, nice to have you here. John M. Carrion, WPE3GOC. Mystery Spence, nice to have you on board from Kentucky. Kevin Jane Apollo, nice to have you on board. WS2H, quarantine but feeling well at Point Beach, New Jersey. Hope you are fine, my friend. Roberto Rojas, buenas noches. ¿Cómo está? Nice to have you on board. Rufus, nice to have you here from Laurentian Valley, Ontario. Florence Garneau, nice to have you here from newcomer this evening, and have enjoyed your shows. Thank you very much. WM6V. Florence, nice to have you here. Rob, nice to have you here from Phoenix, Arizona. Kevin says 8 being stuck inside, but I did hear China radio in English. Chairman Mayo biography, quite comical to say the least. Flores is in Blenheim, Ontario. Rodolfo 65 from New York City, which is pretty much shut down like Montreal, I guess. Larry, nice to have you here from Georgia. John McClure, nice to have you here. Hunter's Alley Crafter's Kitchen from Massachusetts. Jason Wallace from Lockdown, New Zealand. Nice to have you here. 4 weeks to play with radio. Cool. Let's have fun. Let's overuse the radio. You know, how many times did we look at our radios and say, darn, I don't have enough time to, play with radio. I don't have enough time to do my ham radio stuff. Hey, you got the time now. And it's a great way to get your mind off of whatever else. So why not sit down and do it? Man. William Helms, nice to have you on board, my friend from Florida. David KJ4CMY, nice to have you here. Vince Perrault, salut. Bonjour, mon homme. J'espère que ça va bien. Toujours un plaisir de t'avoir parmi nous. Keegan, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas. Sunny, 84. Wow, it's warm. Today here we were in the 40s, which is not too bad. Kind of spring weather. Andy Coley, nice to have you here. Steve, nice to have you here. Steve 94044, KJ6N, San Francisco Bay Area. Briar Smoke, strange times indeed. Greetings from California. KW6JFD. Cool. Keegan is listening with his dad's ICOM IC7300 transceiver, W6LVP loop. W9JEF is the dad's call sign. Roughest Newt, 7315. Great. William Helms, got to have a beer when you get put away one way or another. Al Mesam, nice to have you on board from Ohio. Zachary Owens, nice to have you here. And with Kathy, nice to have you both watching the show. Steve says, been listening to CB Radio Channel 38. Skip to Hawaii at least a couple of evenings. Wow, that's nice. Jerry DX, nice to have you here, my friend. Vince is stuck with Pabst Blue Ribbon. Oh, God. Oh, God. Hey, it's better than water. Or is it? Clark Gilson, nice to have you here from Southwest Wisconsin. Stephen Wood, nice to have you on board. Everybody streaming, yes. Rufus, sucking up the bandwidth. Let's suck up the internet tonight. David just boosted the quality to 720. Better people watch YouTube than getting close to strangers. Absolutely. And like I said, if you find it a little fuzzy, it's YouTube has actually switched the global switch of streaming to 480p. So you can actually switch it back up to a little more quality if you wish. Rodrigo Galter, nice to have you on board in Brazil, listening to Shortwave with an XH Data D808, woohoo, and the Texan PL600, woohoo. Both radios are amazing, but I prefer the D808. The XH Data is amazing. Joe Rutman from Chicago, nice to have you here. What do we have? What do we have? Let me just try to find my way back home. Okay. Rob says, your shows always lift my spirit. Well, that's good. That's what we have to do. John, nice to have you here. Where's the cat? It was here for the mic shot. It was too fast because I wanted to print a series of numbers, put it under, and say this is my mic shot for the cops with Paul the cat. Oh, man. Nice to have you here, John. Where are you located, John? 66088. Darius, you're not struggling with your cat as the thumbnail in your video. Marvin Motts, nice to have you here. Thank you for the great speech comment. And David says, I'm not on Thursday, but it feels like it. It feels weird. I don't know why this week, every day, I thought it was another day. So yesterday, Tuesday, I woke up and I said, oh, it's Wednesday. I got a live show tonight. And then after like 20 minutes of my morning haze going away and my coffee, I was like, it's not Wednesday. It's Tuesday. What the hell? I'm the wrong day. John Pickney. Nice to have you here. W3XWT/4. Ron Hicks. Want to hear what Brother Stare? Oh, man. Go tune. You know what? I was listening. So while I was cooking my chicken for my meal, I was on 9455 at what was it? 21 UT. 2130 ish. And what 9455 was playing is music, pop music. And I think he played, it's funny because they played kind of a Blondie album, like Blondie greatest hits. So, every Blondie song was going by and reminded me of my, young days. And I was using the C-Crane CC Shortwave, the big one, which has great sound because it's a big speaker. So I left it there. I was like, oh, this is cool. Listening to Blondie on shortwave while cooking food. I felt good and had a little drink. And of course, 22 hours came up. And what did happen at 22 hours? Brother Stare came up. And I was cooking my food and I was kind of busy. So I left it on Brother Stare. Oh, man. It was like, we are at the end of times, guys. Okay. The earth has been for 6,000 years only. Don't forget it. Science is nothing. And America's great just because we said that. And the world is great just because we said it. Nothing's great because we're all being destroyed. That was the marvelous positive comment of Brother Stare tonight while I was listening. And I was like, oh, man. Can you put Blondie back? At least that was good. Oh, man. Vince, you opened the door for Sunday's show last week. Better do it again. We're bored without your show. Degen, hello there. Nice to have you here on Mesa 5920 booming into Central Ohio. WHRI. That's a pretty strong signal usually. Northern Dawn. Pirates are pretty active in Europe in the last few days. Pirates have been active, crazy, here in North America also. It really, really shows. There's an uptick in pirate activity, and it's really cool because it's a lot of fun to tune around. And boy, nothing like pirate radio to just, get you off of whatever. Hey, let's check it out. 4101. 4101. Sicko Radio. Yeah, I'm hearing it. Sicko Radio. Sicko Radio. 4101 upper sideband. Right now. And let's try 6925. Do I hear 6925? Not hearing 6925, but I'm hearing 4101. It's not very strong, but it's there. Sicko Radio, SYCKO. 4101 upper sideband right now. So check that out. Check that out. There's some music right now. I can hear some music. So pirate activity has been booming. It's been amazing on the bands. Degen says, went for a walk with the dog and used the opportunity to post a reception report for the Voice of Korea. Cool. Mickey Delmage, nice to have you here. Having a ham license right now is amazing. Working around the world, talking to people in the same boat. Cheers. That is cool also, absolutely. Zachary Antle, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bored was I this week? It's difficult to express for me because I'm not in the same world as the average person. you I was everybody was found my joke really funny because I do YouTube videos every day. So what is my life? My life looks like a quarantine guy all the time. So in the life itself, there's no difference except that I hear this thing about a virus all the time. And I listen to Shortwave as daily as all day. It's my life is the same here. Where it changes is I miss. So I can't say I'm bored because I still do the same thing that I do all the time. It's not like a guy that goes out to work, or it's not like a guy that his life is stalled due to what's happening, because a lot of you is that's the situation. Where I miss what I miss is my Sunday night a bar with friends. What I miss is my once or twice a week going out at a restaurant and eat a meal. Getting out of the house in for with those circumstances, because getting out of the house, I can go for a walk. I went for a walk today, and I mean, the life that I know is not that different, except for a very small portion of it, which is bar and restaurants. But for the rest, my life is like, I everybody found it funny because I said, you know what, we needed a quarantine for me to find out that I actually live a life of quarantine. That I work from home, so it's a life of being quarantined, basically. Charles, nice to have you here. Had an XH data D808 for a month. Part inside a radio that connects to USB cable came loose and fell inside the radio. Wow. Actually, Charles, it's an amazing good radio. You probably had just one, unfortunately, one that maybe had a defect or something, because the majority of people that have the XH data D808 are in love with it and would not return it or change it for anything in the world. I'm one of those. So, I've used it quite a lot in the past. I've had it for more than 6 months now. I've had it for at least, I've had it. When did I get my D808? I've had it for maybe a year now. And it's been a solid performer, a solid radio. It's sad to hear that you had a bad experience for it. But if it's only that, you can just charge your batteries with, an external charger. There's very cheap chargers on eBay that you can charge a battery with. Radio is still good. And by the way, if you had it for 1 month, you can contact the seller. It's on warranty. The XH data has a 1-year warranty. You contact the seller, he's going to replace it. The problem with eBay and stuff like that is you got to pay for the return and stuff, but it's on warranty at 1 month. Ron Hicks working 6 days a week and a stack of reception reports to get out. Cool. That is cool. Mad Radio DXer going better since I had a suspected fever last weekend. Looks like it was just a common cold. Yeah, that we got to be careful too, because at this time, chances are we probably have a cold or maybe the common flu rather than anything else. Terry Cook, KF7BQ, nice to have you here. Marvin Mott's radio has a special place in all of this. As the internet becomes more locked down, shortwave communications will become as important conduit for a small group of reality seekers. Glenn Zeckman, nice to have you here. John Pickney, right now the hobby feels like that ham radio scene in the movie Testament. Anyone seen it? Very depressing movie, though. Yeah, kind of. Kevin Wood, nice to have you here from Nova Scotia. Kimberly K6YYL in California. John W. Nice to have you here. WF7I Brew. Good evening. Social distancing, not a problem for many of us. Now, I think the closer you are to your radio, the more social distancing you've been doing all life. I was watching a show, a tech show, and there was a guy at the tech show that was saying this afternoon, us geeks, we already practice social distancing for most of our lives. So this is kind of normal. And I was like, yeah, okay. Simon Templar, Radio Thailand, 13750. Wow. Let's check if there's something here. I haven't heard Radio Thailand in such a long time. I miss listening to that station. Zachary Antle, not super into shortwave, but I get the impression a lot of people into shortwave are on the spectrum like me, and bubble would be an apt term for how we are all. Yeah. Mark Elford. Yep, you can get a really cheap charger for 1860 batteries. Absolutely. Jeff Barry, nice to have you here. Julio Pineda Cordon. ¿Cómo está, my friend? Do you think that the SDR Play RSPDX is a noisy receiver, talking about internal or circuit noise? Not. So I've had the RSP1A. I have the RSPDX now. One thing for sure, it's not noisier than the RSP1A. Is it noisy? You know what? What I would say here is, if there is noise, I think the problem is not the RSPDX or RSP1A receiver that's noisy. It's that your computer is generating a lot of noise and it's injected within the radio. That's the biggest problem with software-defined radios. Trying to remove the computer noise portion out of the radio device. So I've had actually an email. One guy kind of ranted at me saying that it was a crappy suggestion that I did to suggest an RSP1A because he got one and he can't hear a thing. And he says when he tunes is, I think it was an ICOM R71, it's crystal clear. So I suggested a few things to him. But you know what? I had one question. I said, okay, when you look at the S meter of your RSP1A and SDR Uno, when you look at signals, do you see just trace of signals within that waterfall of noise? And he came back to me and he said, you know what? When I have no signal at all, so he was telling me that, for example, if he tuned 14500 where there's nothing, his S meter on the RSP1A and SDR Uno was showing S9. And I came back to him and said, okay, and if you do 14500 on the ICOM R71, what does your S meter read? And he said it says S3. And I said, okay, what I suspect is that the computer you're using is injecting tons of noise inside the RSP. And the problem is in the RSP, it's your computer, your power supply with the computer, the USB cable you're using, it's injecting a lot of noise. And I think that's a hard one. It's a difficult thing to talk about because, I always say, look at that. I don't know if I can show it here, but here's my RSPDX. And look at that cable here. I know you can't see it, but let me just I'll put a little something white here in the back so you guys can see look at my USB cable. Look what it has. It has that big choke right here. It has a choke like that on both ends. So my RSPDX, that's right here, and that's what you see on the screen, doesn't really have noise coming from the computer itself. Part of it, I think, is due to those chokes on the cable. Honestly, that cable, because somebody said, where you got a cable? That cable I already had here. And you know where it came from? That cable I purchased a printer 7 or 8 years ago. And that cable is actually the cable that came with my printer. It was included in the box, which is never happens usually for a printer. And chokes were on both ends. It was an HP printer. And I think that printer probably had a lot of noise. And they included that cable because they wanted to make sure that there's not too much noise generated. But if you go on eBay or if you go on electronics cabling sites, a lot of them sell these cables with chokes at each end. And one thing I need to do, I haven't done tomorrow, by the way, just while I'm thinking about it. I've not done a lot of radio videos. Tomorrow, Thursday, watch out. The channel is going to be inundated with tons of radio videos because I want to catch up for the fact that I wasn't very productive in the Shortwave channel this week. One of them, we talked, I think it was Sunday, testing out the RSPDX with a really normal, cheap USB cable versus the ferret choke USB cable I have here. So that's the thing, and that's the problem with SDR. It's a difficult thing, and computers are problematic for that reason. Some of them are just very noisy compared to others. Probably I was lucky in one way because a lot of the computers I use, the Toshiba computers, were super quiet. It's difficult. Jojo, nice to have you on board. Still at work, but worth to listen. So cool. Best relaxation in the afternoon with Fella Ham. Nice to have you here, Jojo. KM6EHD 73, my friend. Larry Cordy, KB2DYU. Nice to have you here. Man. Larry Stevens, cool, on the air. Yes, it's easy to see now. Larry Stevens in Newark, Ohio. Nice to have you here. Vianney. Salut, Vianney de la Gaspésie. Plaisir de t'avoir parmi nous from the eastern part of the province of Quebec. VA2VMA. Linux DOS. Nice to have you on board. Stephen Wood, Voice of Vietnam 7315 blasting. What do we have? CJ, region receiver update from Western Oregon. The toggle switches arrived and all are functional. Cool. What else do we have? Anybody getting buffering? Asks Bobby. Ron Hicks, KM4LDI. Nice to have you here. Joseph Ivankovich Jr., W8JXQ from Battle Creek, Michigan. Nice to have you here. John W. says HD stream is fine. W7I Homebrew, I really like the video about setting up a comfortable listening space for radio. For a long time, my listening spots were uncomfortable work type spaces. Now I go out on a deck and relax. It's very important. It's very important. I mean, think of your workspace. When you go to work, or if you work from home like I do, one of the things you want is that everything is comfortable because you can't work in an environment that is not comfortable. So what happens is the same with radio. If you are at home now and you need to listen to the radio for a long time, better be comfortable. It's very important. You know, I set up in my kitchen. I have no choice when I use portable radios, except I can do it here if I use the RSP, the MLA30 antennas on the portables. But for the most part, 90% of the time when I use a portable radio, I'm using it either with a telescopic or some piece of wire, or maybe sometimes the Texan AN48X. But yeah, mixed results. The thing is, when I'm in the kitchen, so, let's face it, sitting at a kitchen table chair is fine when you are eating for 45 minutes. Would you sit in a kitchen table chair for 6 hours? I don't think so. So, what happens if you're stuck in an environment that is hostile, not the one you usually want or will have for listening? You got to change it. You got to do something. So, I've got a rocking chair that is a full rocking chair. Actually, I've already told a story a long time ago. It's that little green foldable rocking chair that I have here, and I use when I actually am in outside in the balcony and do live shows. And it has a special meaning for me because it's the chair that my mom had, and when I was a little baby, and I would cry in the middle of the night, whatever, she was in that chair holding me, and that was the chair that my mom had. So it's a chair that's from 1969. She actually had that chair just because she had me as a little baby back then. So, it has a special meaning, but it doesn't matter. It's not that. It's the fact that I like it. I'm comfortable. I put a little cushion on it, and it's a rocking chair. I like to rock myself. I'm an old man. I like to, be in a rocking chair. And so basically, what I do is I use that chair in the kitchen, and I position my radios, and I, have, and comfortable is a lot of things around us. So comfortable means even if the surrounding is, the kitchen, come on, I mean, I got a stove in my face. I got my washer and dryer in my face. And the plates that I've eaten that I've not cleaned yet, whatever. The dishwasher. It's like, yeah, this is the water heater. It's like, yeah, very beautiful environment. But you got to turn it into what is a nice environment for your radio listening. So my rocking chair, my computer, because my computer is a laptop, so I can bring it there. um you know Set up on my little I got a little wooden folded table, so I just put it there, put the radios on it. Set up my little antenna in a way that I know it's the least amount of noise possible, and I'll get stuff. And one thing I didn't mention, but I've got these. So my lighting system here consists of, can I bring this? So of these little clip-on lamps. So you see, you don't see it really well, but at the end of this little lamp here, there's a clip. So basically what I do is I clip the lamp on in a at the edge of a table, at the edge of whatever. And basically, here I've got 6 of them for the lighting of my environment for the live shows. I had choice of really expensive lighting systems for a studio, but being creative and not wanting to spend $3,000 on lighting, I went to Canadian Tires here in Canada, and there was a special, and they had these little clip-on lamps, and you could. It was I think it was two for $16 or something, and I was like, $8 a lamp. And what about if I put LED bulbs in there and put 10 lamps scattered all around to remove as much as possible, all the shading that it could happen and so on. It actually works really well. And it's super inexpensive to do. And I can add more if I want. Well, what I do is there's a couple of them that are mobile. The reason they are mobile for me is that when I'm here, I got to have light from that side. When I'm there with the pirate flag, light needs to come from this side. So I need to have the clip-on lamps that I can actually remove, put here for the lighting in different directions. So that's what's happening. And so what I like to do is, once again, in your kitchen, the lighting, the ceiling lamp, not necessarily what, and in my kitchen, what's even worse is when I switch on the light, the noise in my portables just goes nuts. I got to keep the lamps off. So what I do is I bring one or two of these clip-on lamps and put it in strategic position so that my lighting is nice with the radios. And it's also, for me, strategic because if I decide I want to do a video to show you guys something, to make sure that the radios are properly lit so that you guys can see well what's happening. That's what a YouTube guy does, light stuff properly to make sure everything looks right. And so that also helps. You know why? Because that lighting is different. It feels different. I have the impression that I'm not in a kitchen. I'm the impression I'm in some kind of new room or something. But it's important. If you want to do hours of listening, you got to be comfortable. You got to have a desk. You got to have a way of positioning your stuff. One of the things I like a lot is being next to a window. I don't know if it's because when I was young, when I started listening to shortwave, and by the way, guys, I know I'm rambling and I'm 30 minutes behind in the chat, okay? I'm going to come to it. So if you're watching, it's like, hey, then say hi. I'm 30 minutes behind. I'll try to catch up here. So when I started listening to shortwave in 1982, I had a big rack because I had that. You guys might know, some of you, I had a big Army radio in a big metal rack. And my R1, my Realistic DX100 was in one of the metal racks there, and it was next to the patio door in the living room, which meant I was listening to shortwave and I could look outside and see what was happening. And I don't know if it's because that's the way it was, but somehow one of the things I like when I listen to radio is to be able to look outside. And there's something about, being able to watch the world outside through the window while you're listening to shortwave, which makes it different. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. So if you can set up next to a window, watch the world, check out what's happening, watch the rain, the snow, whatever falling outside, the tornadoes going by. Let's hope not. It had something more. So you got to be set up in a way that you are going to be comfortable, because you're not going to last and listen to the radio. You're not going to last and do ham radio operations if where you're sitting, if the chair you're sitting in, if the location you are in isn't pleasant. You're just going to turn it on, do it for 10 minutes, and say, I'm going to do something else. It's not exactly. And I would say that, noise can drive us nuts and make us shut down our radio. But I bet you that if your location is cozy, interesting, even if it's noisy, you're going to take more time trying to find something to listen to than if you're, sitting in a bad chair with a bad desk with a radio in your face. And you're going to turn it on, you hear that static, and say, you know what? I think I'm going to do something else today. So it's very important. Mateo Castro, nice to have you here. And let's try to catch up a little bit. John Pickney in Oak Hill, Virginia. Suburb of DC. Cool. WF7I, listening from bed and drift off to sleep to the soothing sounds of Arnie Caro. Welcome to DXers Unlimited. That's when he's not ranting at Glenn Hauser. Vianney, 102 viewers, just 29 likes. Come on. John Pickney. Yeah, turn on your radio. Yeah. I remember when I started doing my tech jobs, and I was actually putting ads in a mailbox here in Montreal. There was a song that was popular back then. It was called the AM radio. It was like, the guy was talking how he could, when he was young, he would listen to the AM radio for music, which I did, honestly, which is funny. Northern Dawn tried to set up on my sofa for a comfortable listening spot, but too much noise. That's the problem. That's the problem. So that's where you got to create your environment where it works great. Because unfortunately, that's the problem. Even I would love to be in my living room listening to shortwave. It's impossible. There's so much noise there. It's not fun, So you got to create your spot in your area of your home that's the least noisy possible. Contendant Tuttle 4, nice to have you here. Thank you for being here. James Farley, nice to have you here from New Jersey. Hunter's Alley Crafter's Kitchen, been listening to hams on 75 meters. Oh, yeah. I mean, hams are talking of different subjects. One of them is, of course, the virus for sure. Joseph Ickenbaum from Northern California. Madrito DXer, Gilles, can you tune into 4700? Yeah, I tried several days in a row. There's a very weak one tonight, but yesterday and the day before, I could see a little stronger. Yesterday I could almost make the music that was playing on Mystery 21, that Euro Pirate on 4700 coming in. Rifleman 336, N8 UCN. Nice to have you on board from quarantined Southwest Ohio. For some reason, I have the professional deformation when I see SW. I want to say shortwave. It's Southwest Ohio. Or it's shortwave Ohio. Anyways, Linux DOS. Is that Stanag on 75 meters, 3960, 3970? 3955. Do I have something here? I don't have anything here. Since it's an international broadcast band, it could also be DRM if it comes from Europe. Cam Jones, what's a good antenna for 160 meters? Not too long. For transmit or just receive? Very important question. Zanzibar, nice to have you on board, my friend. Stephen Wood, 4700. Mystery 21 putting a pretty good signal into Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Tom DXer, nice to have you here in the Hudson Valley, New York. Radioactive Not Hearing 4101. Brian Penny, nice to have you here from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. John Pickney, I stay away from 75 meters as a general rule because of the old guys talking about their latest medical procedures. Man, it reminds me, John, of a friend of mine that said, I'm tired of 2-meter band. Hearing a guy that has prostate problems is is not interesting. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah. But at the same time, you got to accept that exists. That's their thing. So that's why you got to do something to, do something else and listen to something else. That's for sure. Oh, God. Joseph says 6925 Upper Sideman coming in loud in Northern California. Wow. Cool. So it might be a little more in the west side. Pretty crazy. John W., 6925 into East Tennessee. Eric Cottrell, nice to have you here. Amateur radio, practicing social distances for 100 years. I like that, Eric. Yep, pretty much. So, 99.9% of people on Earth were sick with that virus. How come you didn't get it? Hey, I stayed in my basement like I do all the time doing ham radio. Oh, God. Donnie Ramsundar, nice to have you on board from Trinidad and Tobago. Wow, I think it's the first time we have somebody from there. Welcome aboard from the Caribbean. I'm in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Cool. Paris Tosmopoulos. Nice to have you here from Greece, SV1NQH. Wow, middle of the night over there. Misery Spence. I hear that I'm a programmer, so never had a social life. Plus, I work from home anyways, so social distancing hasn't changed my life at all. I'm an hybrid. The problem is I'm really a hybrid guy. So I am a geek, social distancing natural, mixed in with a social guy that needs to have his beer with his 30 friends every week. Oh man. Roberto Rojas, Chin Chin. MM. Nice to have you here. Where are you located, my friend? Eric, I'm considered essential, so I'm working from home. Like Jill, it is going out and visiting friends. Yep, pretty much. John Pinkney, my daughter, got a good laugh out of seeing the remains of my Texan PL 880 with .45, .38 holes and oh god, 45 and 38 holes. Here, Hirofumi Yokoyama. Good morning from Japan. Nice to have you here. How are things in Japan? J. Watterson 69. Nice to have you here. Kamagzi 1976. At least we can use the excuse that ladies staying away from us is due to social distancing. The Rock AD. Nice to have you here. That was a really good joke today I saw on Facebook. So it says, this is your horoscope for the month of March. And it said, this month, you will stay at home all the time. And every sign said the same thing. This month you will stay at home all the time. Man. Robert de Rojas says 4,500 PBS Jingxing from China. Wow. Cool. Radioactive hearing broadcast from Radio Vanuatu 7330. Can you confirm that is a relay from WRMI? Actually, what you're hearing is probably so 7730 is WRMI, yes. And I don't hear it very well, but you've probably been hearing AWR Wavescan talking about Radio Vanuatu, actually. So this is WRMI Radioactive, absolutely. Eric Cattrall, you need a good USB cable. I use one with ferrets. John M. Carrion have owned and continue to own some great radios. My favorite oldie, Hammerland HQ180A. That's a well-known, great, amazing device from the old days. Bob Bartola, nice to have you on, bro. I totally agree. I have to build a linear power supply for my computer. What else do we have? Chris Alpha Tango, nice to have you here, my friend. And we are very active. There's a lot of activity with what's happening. Radioactive bought his USB cable with chucks on Amazon from Triplate. So they're good quality radioactive. V3KRP, Fast Steady. Nice to have you here from Ontario. Joe Watterson says on his late night guerrilla pirate radio show that Paul the Cat would have told the guy, F off, Ozer. Good luck figuring out your own. Eric Cattrall, I bought a Triplite U023 USB cable because it has a choke on both ends. Seems to work very well. I think maybe that's what we need for SDRs the most. John Pickney heard a number station, 14470, 18 UT. Cool. Roger Schultz. Yes, I had a good birthday. It was okay. I'm getting old, you know. People say, hey, you didn't have your birthday party with tons of people. I was like, you know, I wasn't planning on it anyways. I'm getting too old now. Mark Elford, 7330, WRMI S1 in the Vancouver Island, says Mark Elford. Paul Midlick, do we know when Radio New Zealand will change to a lower frequency again? Well, they will probably change. So a lot of frequencies are going to change on Sunday, for sure. So, because the new schedules are starting Sunday. So that will surely be part of some of the frequency going to change. As we're getting into summer, they're going to get into winter. That means Radio New Zealand will be lowering the frequencies they use, probably. What's Paul doing now, Kadarius? I think he's sleeping in the living room. He's sleeping in the bed. Brian Penny bought him a kind of a bed that he shipped here. And Paul's been sleeping in that bed almost all the time. He kind of loves it. Vianney, no problem. Always a pleasure. Randy in Riverside, California. What else do we have? John McClure, post more interesting websites. Callum, too. Nice to have you here, my friend Callum. Pretty good. Roger is KE4BFG. BFJ. Sorry. BFG. I'm all messed up now. Roger Salad Crafter's Kitchen says, that's why my gear is in my kitchen. It's comfortable. You know, I got to be the best place possible. Radioactive. Michelle has a rocking chair in the kitchen. Yeah, absolutely. I balance myself when I eat. Yes, I was a baby at some time. It happened. Apparently, I was cute, and my sisters were fighting as to who could pick me up, and they were fighting over me, apparently. So, at the early age of a couple of months, I had two girls fighting over me already. David Martin, good evening. Watch Close Encounters again this week. A classic. Interesting brainstorming scene about how keep people away from Devil's Tower. Jim F. from Rhode Island. Nice to have you here. Keegan has WWV and WWVH, Colorado and Hawaii. Two stations talking 4140. 4140. Anything here? I'll stay there a little bit. See. WF7I Homebrew. There's several good posts on Facebook group a couple of months ago showing people's radio operating positions. Lots of ambience, soft lighting, comfortable chairs. What I used to like a lot, and I think I still do, is, you know what? At night, just turn everything off and just leave the lighting of the radios themselves glow you in the dark. It's kind of cute. Hirofumi Yokoyama, good morning. John Pinkney used Canadian Tire dollars. Now I got my Canadian Tire dollar card. I think they don't use the dollars anymore. They don't accept them anymore. Steve 94044. There's some great ham radio AM chat in the evening across the US around 3877 or 7268. There's a lot of AMers on 3870 to 3890. Quite a few of them here that I hear all the time. Mike Hill, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas. Let's go down. Dave Freeman, nice to have you on board. No, I did not change my mind. My mind is split into about 4 million different things right now. But don't worry, I did not change my mind, Dave. Nice to have you here, my friend. WF7I Homebrew says, I think for many, there's a sense of going on an adventure when turning on their shortwave radio. Late at night, lighting, mysterious signals breaking through, brings us back to childhood. Yeah, probably. The Radio Geek. Nice to have you here. Rufus Duke, 3330. Not a peep on the loop. 3333. That's pretty good here. Not the strongest I've heard, but it's there. 3330 CHU. Keegan has 7850 CHU. Mark Alford says, I can still hear Mama say, boy, turn that radio down. Oh, man. Radioactive listens to 80 meter band, 35, 81, 82. They're all digital modes. Much less old men talking about medical. Yeah, possibly. Bloody Creep, nice to have you here. Bloody from Florida. Ryan Jacob, nice to have you here. Gaétan Bellil, bonsoir et bienvenue. De Sainte-Sophie. Sainte-Sophie. J'ai un ami à Sainte-Sophie. S'appelle Philippe. Interesting. Maybe you are neighbors and I don't even know. Salut Gaétan. Icadarius, I used to have a pen pal from Japan, which I got through HAJB back about 1994, 95. And her name was Kyoko Yokoyama. I mean, still have some letters somewhere. Well, Radio Lens, bonjour, nice to have you here from British Columbia. John Pickney, switching power supplies should require FCC licenses. Yeah, they should have their own call signs. Imagine receiving, letters that's like, yes, I received your switching power supply on the frequency of 4845, 4895, 5085, 5185, 5505, 6185. And it's like the list goes on like this big. So I would like to have a QSL card, please. Okay, I'm going to check that out. Triplite cables. I should purchase actually a few of them and make videos. I'm going to check it out. Really going to check it out. Joe Sombra Newhouse, nice to have you here from Brazil, my friend. Eric Cottrell says, I likely got the same USB cable, so apparently they're good. John Pickney says, 121 watching. Only 54 likes. You wanted me to point to you like I did the other day? Everybody did memes with that thing. Humberto Molina. Saludos. ¿Cómo está, mi amigo? From El Salvador. Pretty cool to have you here. Everybody around the world. We're all in the same situation. That's why we got to listen to the radio. John Pickney, back when I was married, or a guinea pig, our guinea pig liked to sleep on an 8 amp power supply for my 2-meter packet station. Wow. Well, that was warm. It was really warm, honestly. It's like a cat. In the wintertime, he wants to sleep on warm, surfaces. Take care, Mad Radio DXer. Tom DXer says, got my PL660 delivered today. I haven't opened it. It's in quarantine in my garage. I'm all excited. You know what? I'm waiting. I know it's not shortwave, but I have my old stereo here. I'm going to have tomorrow, I've got confirmation that I will have my brand new turntable where I will play my old vinyl records finally again. And I'm all excited tomorrow that I'm going to dish out my 45 and 33s and play them on that thing. So, it's like, I know they confirmed that it's going to be delivered tomorrow. And I'm all excited. This is going to be like, I don't care about the quarantine. I'm going to listen to all my records now. I haven't listened to them in 10 years, 15 years at least. So now that I'm going to have a turntable tomorrow, wow, I'm going to listen to records. Yeah, I'm an old guy. But you know what? It's even popular today with young guys, so it's okay. I feel old and young at the same time. Kimberly says, I was thinking about Close Encounters of the Third Kind as well. Exactly this part. I was looking at Netflix, the top 10. So they have this new thing that says the top 10 things in Canada. And it's like the 3 first most popular things were, like plague and contagion. And it's like really, people are watching movies and documentaries about how viruses go all the way around, and you wonder why everybody's paranoid now. 741, good evening. Nice to have you here. AIH, first time listener, great channel. Thank you very much. From Seacliff, New York. Nice to have you here, my friend. Hope you're going to come back. Angela Sherrill, nice to have you here, Angela, from North Carolina. VU2KOC, nice to have you on board, my friend. Vianney, experimenting with new antenna today. It's a vertical, like an old Army antenna. Works very well. I'm happy it is temporarily installed. It's just spring for the moment. Tomorrow, I have to do some job on the balcony, and I was thinking of trying different positions for my loop antennas to try to see if there's a way or a place that it could actually be lower noise. And can I set it on the side? I'm going to try all sorts of things tomorrow. Dr. Sisup, nice to have you here. Dave Freeman. Don't worry, Dave. It's going to be on. One day you'll be tuning it and you're going to be happy. Trucker Daddy. Hey, John in Quebec. Nice to have you on board from Sherbrooke, Quebec. It's nice to have people from all around here and all around the world at the same time. Sean Fitzgerald. Sean. Yeah, I'm French, so there's not all the names that I pronounce, but so I'll be telling you Sean now. You happy? And but I like, for anybody out there, when I pronounce your name wrong, one of the things I do like is when somebody like Sean points out, by the way, you should pronounce my name this way, because I'm happy to pronounce it correctly. And thank you for correcting it. So, hey, Sean. Nice to have you here from Syracuse, New York. And always nice to have you on board. James de Calais. Nice to have you here from France. Gaetan is not well known in Sainte Sophie. It's not a very big place to be known. It's like it's easier to be unknown in Montreal than unknown in Sainte Sophie, I would guess, but it's okay. Here in Montreal, nobody knows you. Here in Montreal, even your neighbors, unless I'm social enough that I actually talk to them. So like half the street knows who I am, and more than half the street knows who I am now because of my cat. Because everybody loves Paul the cat, and they are like, "Oh, it's your cat." Yeah, but in general, in Montreal, like every big major city in the world, nobody cares about nobody. So it's like, have your next door neighbor and you never even said hi in 20 years. So, but I talk, with Paul the cat. Everybody knows Paul. And Paul has different names because people didn't know that Paul is Paul. So Paul is known as Socrates, and one place, Socrate, is known as Philip, and one of my neighbors. And one of the other neighbors across the street calls him Orange. Hey, Orange. So he's got different names. And so when they notice that he's my cat, they all say, "Oh, that really cute cat is yours?" "Yeah, it's mine. It's my cat." Yeah, and his name is Paul. So it's just funny. So, nothing like a cat to have a social environment in a city where nobody talks to each other. Honestly. Oh, man. John Pickney, does Industry Canada still have stricter RFI standards than US FCC? I can't answer that. I don't know. I know that for a while, and I did hear that that Industry Canada, they have very strict noise, and even our. I remember reading an article a long time ago about RFI levels, how much power, how much microvolts per meter or something like that, that is acceptable for the human body. Even that was stricter here in Canada than in the US, which meant that when cell phones started happening and there were towers everywhere, the cell towers were actually spaced out a little more here because the rules were so strict about the amount of RFI or RF, I mean, that you could submit the human body, that the companies had to be careful here more than in the US, where it was accepted to be closer to the population in general. So I'm not sure if anything changed, if it's still like that or not, if RFR rules have changed. But I do remember reading about a lot of the different aspects of all of that being stricter here than the US did. So, what else we have? Hecadarius says Garfield the cat used to sit on the waffle iron. Eric Cottrell, my favorite Celtic name, Siobhan. I even know how to pronounce it. I don't know if I pronounce it right, but it could be Siobhan. Dr. Sisab, well, Amazon is giving priorities. So right now, Amazon. By the way, if you buy a a radio on Amazon, don't expect it to be delivered like now, because they have a series of rules now of what's priority. So medical equipment, house supplies, and because there's a really huge volume of orders, if you buy that 70-inch TV, it might not be there for at least a month and a half. They really have really have changed that. Jim F. So yeah, for most of the regular stuff, the delivery dates are very late, April, even May. Jim F. My brand of turntable is a Armin Kardon. Sorry, guys, my beer was like very far away. John Pickney says, I still have the first 45 I played on the air, Walked Like a Man by the Four Seasons. Wow. My first 45 was Physical by Olivia Newton-John. Please don't laugh. But the story behind it is funny. So me and my friend Benoit at the time, we would always go together and buy stuff. And when we started buying music together, we had told ourselves, oh, we're going to go and get Olivia Newton-John, and I get Physical. But I have the little 45, and the cover is pictures of Olivia Newton-John in a stream, wearing very lightly clothed. So it's kind of sexy. So when my friend sees it and says, "Oh, cool," and kids, guys that are 13, 14 years old, kind of get turned on by pretty much by the Sears catalog. And basically he's all excited he's going to get that, but he went the week after. I got this special edition the week after. When he went, he has the white sleeve that has nothing on it. It's just a white sleeve, and he's mad as hell. He's like looking at him and says, "How much you pay for it?" I said, "Well, I paid $2.45. I'm going to give you $5. I want yours. I'll give you $5 for yours." And of course, I was like, "Nope, no way. I'm not selling." Oh, God. Funny things. So I got the beep beeps of CHU in the background at 3330. What else do we have? David Martin says, I like over-the-air classic TV old reruns. This week I saw the Monsters episode, If a Martian Answers, hung up. We have a on cable TV here. I've got a channel that is classic horror movies. It's kind of cool. Yesterday, I couldn't, before going to bed. I couldn't stop. I just like click, and it was Nosferatu, the 1921 or whatever black and white vampire movie, and I just got hooked. It was like, started looking, and I watched the whole movie. It's like, okay, I can't stop watching now. Radio Geek, any activity on shortwave with Pirates tonight? We had a couple of ones earlier. Let's check if anything else has popped up right now. So we still have Seco Radio on 4101 that I don't know if it's still on the air. Let's try it just for the fun of it here. Yeah, it's still on. Seco Radio, 4101 Upper Sideman. I'm hearing it right now. 4101 Upper Sideman, Seco Radio. It's not very strong here, but it's there. It does come in. What else we have? D. Freeman ordered the Sea Crane. Sea Crane Skywave SSB is pretty good. I think you're going to have a lot of fun. Fast Load, nice to have you here. Tim Dacey, nice to have you here. Guitar 40 years ago, I used to live Masson and 4th Avenue. That's not very far from me. Not very far from me. I'm 9th Avenue and Jean Talon. So, gives you an idea. Not very far. Stephen Wood, my dog does the same as Paul. Everybody knows Tucker. Okay, Darius, are you... And you know cats rule the house. Yeah, absolutely. So, you know where I live now, Gaetan. I like that. Erica Charles says, dogs have owners, cats have staff. I like that. I do like that. What else do we have? Let's try to see here. Steve, anyone in chat know how to set up a DMR handheld? Omar Meng, nice to have you here from Florida. Radio 1991. Can someone tell me which radio is better, D808 or Digitech AR1780? I think they're both pretty much the same, honestly. Pretty much the same. Nope, no buffering, fast load. But we do have a few people that said, is there buffering tonight? So maybe something's happening. Remember that YouTube, for those that join, has lowered the bit rate to 480p for the world. So I don't know if you push it back up to 720, for example, if it could result in some buffering. Roger Schultz misses Radio Canada International. We all do, actually. We all do. Artist Ollie Crafter's Kitchen, who has over 4,000 vinyl albums, along with my radio collection. Kimberly says, buffered is okay now, but YouTube is trolling down a little bit. Kevin J. Napalo, 740 Zoomer Radio, recently started tuning in this Canadian behemoth on 740. Wow. Shava. Okay, thanks, Tom DXer. Shava. Huh. Shava. Like there's SysOp 9395 S9 dead carrier from Cuba again. 7780 is S6. Let's check it out here. 7780. AWR wave scan on 7780 right now. And I think we're going to have Radio Tirana, 9395. Check it out. Check it out here. It's a really good signal on 9395. I don't know what's going to be on. Some music right now. Under Schultz misses Shortwave Listeners Digest. Like Alfred, first record I liked, Herb Albert Tijuana Band. Grew lots of hair in my palms. Oh, man. Erica Troll, I think the Olivia Newton-John single that Jill got was Come On Over. Oh, man. Well, mine was really physical. But it was like, come on over. Sean, all good, sir. I'm going to pronounce. Doesn't bother me. I'm used to it. It's like my name. I don't know how many times, Gilles got massacred on shortwave with different stations. Nobody knows how to pronounce that thing. And in English, it's not natural because it's a soft G, which is not something natural for a lot of languages. So when people come into how do you pronounce it? It's like Gillis, Giles. I've heard all variants of it. You get used to it at one point. You're like, yeah, okay. Everybody pronounces. Yeah. And my native language is French. So I am, all the names that I've heard through the years, when I read them, I know that they're pronounced in a certain way. But there are names, when I see them written, I'm not really sure how they are pronounced. So I'll pronounce them in the way that I can. But, it's, but I like it. I like when somebody says that name, because honestly, it's like, I was talking with Sheldon, the International Radar Report. My English ain't perfect. There are things, and especially when you have to read, this is where you see what's missing. Because you read a text, and when there's a lot of words, you stumble upon words that suddenly you're not sure. How do I pronounce that word? And I was telling Sheldon, one of the things that I do if I have to read a text, if I'm alone, for example, on the International Radar Report, is I will use Google to tell me how do you pronounce a word in order for me to try to get the best pronunciations of the words before I actually read the text. But names are hard because names are very different. It's not like, regular text. So, it's not always easy to find. How do I, Radio 1991. Which portable radio is great on airband, FM, shortwave, and medium wave? Well, if you want the best of the best, because the airband, I got to say, is better than the others. It's the CC shortwave, CC Skywave SSB by C-Crane. It's a little more expensive, but it does beat every other radio on airband. But if you don't want to spend the amount of money it costs, XH Data D808 is an amazing radio, and you'll be very happy. John Pickney, yeah, Sweden calling DXers. That was also a good one, for sure. That's for sure. What else do we have? So Sweden calling there. So look at that, guys. I'm gonna check it out here. There's something about... Oops, not this one. Calling about... Sweden calling the Xers. So this is the... from 1980. Okay, guys? This is from 1980. Sweden calling the Xers.
Welcome to edition number 1575 of Sweden Calling the Xers. And today's program was compiled with the help of 65 contributors. And this week we'll start off with some publications. First of all, Mickey Vasella has just published the third issue of External Services of African Stations. This is issued on a regular basis each March, May, September, and November as a free supplement for the subscribers to QTH Africa, which comes out every 10 days. External Services of African Stations is also available separately for 2 IRCs, and that's for anywhere in the world. If you're interested, you could write to QTH Africa.
Take care, John Pickney.
28250, Pretoria, 0132, South Africa. You've also asked Mickey about QTH Africa itself, because that's a very interesting guide to changes in the African radio scene. We received the first issue of the monthly reports of the Asian Broadcasting Institute. It's 7 pages in length, and this issue is a comprehensive listing of schedules of various stations in China and Taiwan. A 12-month subscription costs 4,000 yen for overseas airmail, and they say that they want to be paid in yen, so you're going to have to go to your local bank and find out how much 4,000 yen comes.
You got to go and pay in yens, and that's it. Oops. You got to be paid in yens. So let's get beer number 2. So Pirate 4101. Look at that, guys. I haven't had that in quite a long time live on the show. Da-da-da-da. Fin du monde, the end of the world beer. It's pretty good as what's happening right now. It's the end of the world. I'm actually doing my doing my utility columns for the Messenger. I've got this really nice FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency in the U.S. Shortwave frequencies that is very interesting, and that I'm working on. And I started tuning some of them. And yesterday, I actually was receiving call signs, AL call signs, which is a digital mode, automatic link, whatever. And using multi-PSK, I could get the call signs of the different stations, which was really nice. And I think it was the first time ever that I decoded some ale, actually. And I'm not talking about the beer. I'm talking about a digital mode on shortwave. So it was kind of cool. So let me just pour this, and here we go. And beer number 2, guys. Cheers. It's a triple Belgian ale. 9%. This gets you drunk real fast. Cheers, everybody. Okay. What else do we have? Mateo Castro, you're my second favorite, Joe. This first one is Villeneuve. The first one is Villeneuve. Long time ago. I was actually, Mateo, I was 12 years old when Gilles Villeneuve died. And I remember watching. I was up north, and I was watching the race. I remember I was up north watching the race, and when the accident happened, man, long time ago. Cool, Eric. Kimberly, I use Google for Urban Dictionary these days. Got to keep up with what people are saying. It changes quickly with all the technology memes and everything. Yeah, absolutely. I often use Google Translate also for translating into English or French. Mike Hill, cool. I was listening to Radio Sweden in 1980. I remember, I don't know. Okay. I have a question for you guys. I've been listening for whatever amount of time. What station? So we all have, the question is a little weird, but it's so we have favorite stations. We have stations that we loved, but we have stations. I had a couple of stations that for me were not necessarily my favorite in programs, but for some reason in my mind, hearing from that region of the world was cool. And I don't know why, but listening to Nordic countries for me was amazing. So anytime I heard the interval signal of Radio Norway, Radio Sweden, and Radio Finland, I was always listening in because I don't know. I was kind of hooked for some reason. That region of the world on shortwave was fascinating to me. So, any of you have, and once again, I'm not talking about programming. I'm talking about I listened to that station because for me, for me, it was cool to listen to that part of the world, even if it's in a language you don't understand. Somebody told me once, so if you're listening to a station in Portuguese, do you understand Portuguese? No. Why are you listening? It's Brazil. Yeah, but do you understand? I don't care. It's Brazil. And they just stare, like, it's like somebody posted on the VHF channel once. So you're listening to beeps, beeps, and beeps from a satellite. I don't understand. Well, I do. It's so amazing and so cool that it's a satellite in orbit that's just doing beeps. Of course, we are weird and geek. You got to understand that that's the geekness of our hobby. It's cool. It's a satellite, but nobody understands us. We are lonely in our understanding of why we have fun. I mean, it goes exactly with one very simple thing. How come, when I was young, how come I was fascinated with shortwave while my brother, which lived in the same house and would hear my radio, the only comments he had all the time was, "Oh, you're listening to that static again." I remember one morning, so my brother would go and play golf, and he would wake up like at 5 a.m. to go to the golf course early morning when the sun rises in the summer. And I would tell him, "Oh, when you wake up to go to the golf course, wake me up. I want to listen to the radio at 5 or 6 in the morning in the summertime when I was teenage." And I remember one morning, came up to me before leaving for his golf, and he says, "So what's so interesting?" I said, "I'm hearing RFO Tahiti, which is, Radio France Outre-mer from Tahiti in Polynesia, in the Pacific Ocean." And it wasn't very strong, but he was there and we could kind of hear. He looked, he listened, he says, yeah, static. And he left. And I was like, okay, if telling you that this signal from halfway around the world on a radio like this isn't cool for you, you'll never be a shortwave listener. And that's where you're kind of, yeah, okay. I'll never be able to convince anybody. But you know what? There are things sometimes that pop up. And I still remember he would always say, oh, you're listening to that static. But I remember one day he had a girlfriend. And young adult trying to impress the girlfriend. So he brings the girlfriend over to so that she could meet my mom and dad, and I'm the geek brother doing computers on the Commodore and listening to shortwave static. But back then, and for a long time, for those that know, WA3NAN was the official Goddard Space Center station, ham station, that would retransmit every audio of space shuttles. And there was a space shuttle at the time that was up. And even though my brother always said, well, you're listening to static, he had noted one thing. He had noted that I would tune in to the space shuttle comms via WA3NAN. So I don't know if it worked, but I remember he came next to me with the radios, and his girlfriend's there. Says, "Oh, this is my brother Joe," and it's like blah blah blah, And he and he says, "Oh, isn't the shuttle up? Can you tune into the shuttle? That's my brother. He's amazing. He can listen to all sorts of signals around the world and stuff." And it's like, yeah, since when are you amazed at me listening to the world? Now you got a girlfriend. That's amazing. Before it was static. And I remember I tuned, and it was like, I don't know what shuttle mission. It was like, there was communications. And she was like, oh, that's cool. Oh, wow. Your brother is really intelligent. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's what he gets. And it's just amazing. It's like, yeah, sure. You were really interested in my hobby. Now you are, because your girlfriend is amazed that your brother is a geek and does all of that. It's giving you importance. I was like, please, come on. This is the first time in my life in like 8 years that you are actually interested in what I do. So please go away. Oh, man. Yarabamba, any French shortwave radio you recommend to listen to? I would like to learn French. I'm not sure. Listening, well, if you are learning French, yeah, listening to language is absolutely a good thing. There's quite a few French broadcasts that come in well. Voice of America has quite a few French language broadcasts. Radio France International has of course. And Vatican Radio. I listen to Radio Japan NHK almost every day on 98.5 with a good signal from Madagascar in French. So there are quite a few French language broadcasts out there. Yes, fast load. C'est concept, hein? Fin du monde. End of the world. Perfect beer for what's happening. Keegan has 13840 Radio New Zealand S5. Cool. Eric, je nourrirai vos doigts avec les carcajou. Oh, man. Frank Ireland, nice to have you on board. Thank you very much. Dr. Sis, I have no work tomorrow. Get drunk, do radio. Vianney has a glass of red wine. Cheers. Eric had Fin du Monde. Nice brew. Yeah, it's pretty nice. For a 9% beer, it's not too harsh, because some of the 9% ale are kind of rough on the edges. This one is not bad at all. Frank Ireland, how often do I have this podcast? Twice a week. Wednesday at 0 UTC. And Friday at 20 UTC. So since you're in Ireland, when you go to summertime, you guys are going to be 1 hour ahead of UTC, which means it would be 1 a.m. on Thursday, because you'd be the next day, and 21 or 9 p.m. on Friday. Keegan is having a glass of Tazo tea. That's perfect. Radio RSA. That was a nice interval signal. Absolutely. Radio RSA. It's my ringtone, by the way, Eric. You know what? When somebody calls me, my ringtone is Radio RSA right now. It's very unique. One thing for sure, no one will ever have that ringtone in a big crowd. So this is so Mike Hill, Radio Luxembourg was a cool station for me. Others like Crafter's Kitchen, Radio Japan always got me to stop and listen, whatever language. Ecadarius listens 4765, 85, 5025. So 4765 is Cuba. Radio Progreso. 4885 is Brazil. And 5025 is Radio Rebelde, Cuba. 4885 is not Cuban, Ecadarius. It's a Portuguese station. It's from Brazil. Radio, let me just remind me of it. So 4885 is a Brazilian. It should be in Portuguese normally. It's radio. It's Radio Club do Para. That's the one I hear all the time. Radio Club do Para in Portuguese from Brazil. There's no Cuban on 4885 Ecadarius. For 765 is Radio Progreso, and 5025 is Radio Rebelde. Those are both from Cuba, but 4885 is Brazil. Fast load. Yes, I saw that you reached Australia today. Pretty good. That's cool. That's kind of cool now when you think about it. Frank Ireland, Radio Netherlands and Holland, Radio RSA Johannesburg, and my first QSL car from HCJB and Quito, Ecuador. And I gotta stop kicking the camera. I'm kicking the habit. No, I'm kicking the camera. Mickey Delmage. I like Nordic stations as well, and was always interested in the Icelandic broadcasting station. Oh, Riki Sudvarpid thing. I got a QSL from that. I never understood thing because it was in Icelandic, but for some reason, I made it a religious thing to listen to every broadcast that I could of Riki Sudvarpid from Iceland for some reason. It was just, for me, cool to listen to that region of the world. Oh, man. Pretty cool. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Interesting. So there was a big community there in Manitoba. Huh, interesting. That was kind of cool. Huh, I didn't know that. Kind of cool. Tom DXer says, I felt that way about African stations. Always a lot of interesting things to listen to. African stations were also a big thing. I remember, if I could get Radio Nigeria, Radio Cameroon, Tanzania, South Africa was a kick. Well, Radio RSA, although, let's be fair, Radio RSA was very strong compared to a lot of other broadcasters in Africa in the 80s, because most African stations, I still have a kick on that. I was listening to Radio Mali 5995 yesterday afternoon for 2 hours with very unique music. I mean, and they're in French, so I understand the language when they talk. It's kind of cool. Radio Guinea from Equatorial Guinea, kind of cool. Also 9650. Still a couple of Africans that are interesting to listen to. I remember. Who remembers Africa numero un? Africa number one from Gabon. That was one I would listen a lot. They had a mystery show. And I still remember listening to. So they were mystery and horror radio plays that were written by African authors, and they would enact them on Africa number one on Gabon. And I would listen to that because I was, it was not the best of stories most of the time, but it was kind of interesting. And I still remember there was a mystery show about how a guy loved his beer, and he loved the beer so much he wanted to visit the factory, but he couldn't. And when he finally got in some way, and yeah, that's a mystery thing, he finally got in by breaking a window. His favorite beer was a bunch of people pissing in the bottles. And that was an actual story on Africa number one show. And I remember listening to that, and I was like, okay, a mystery show about a guy that was drinking somebody else's piss. That's kind of weird. But, they were all weird. They all had this. There was a few that were good, but most of them were so bizarre. But I remember listening to that every afternoon that I could. It was like, yeah, it's time to listen to Gabon Mystery Hour or something. Oh, God. Frank Ireland. Yeah, HCJB sends a lot of stuff. I remember I participated in a contest, and I won a 10 sucre bill of their own local money that I can't find. I don't know where it is. Mike Hill, Saludos Amigos was cool. I liked musical mailbag. So, of course, everybody listening to HCJB liked the DX party line. I like musical mailbag. It was the mailbag show, but they were talking about food all the time. They were like, talking about cookies, and everybody would cook something and bring it into the studio. So they would actually eat stuff and talk about their food as they were actually answering and talking about listener mail. I kind of like that. And that was, I believe, before that was like musical mailbag, and then it was DX party line. So it was my lineup in Saturday evenings. One also that I like because I always enjoyed, and you can still hear on 6050. I don't know if it's coming right now. 6050? Yeah, it's there right now. So there's Ecuadorian music right now. That's what I'm talking about. If you guys want to hear the last frequency that exists of HCJB in Quito, Ecuador, and right now it sounds very Ecuadorian HCJB. 6050 kilohertz. Oh, man. HCJB. It sounds HCJB. Okay, now he's talking. 6050. The only frequency left. It's coming in about S9 here in Montreal. So that's the last frequency that's left that comes from Quito, Ecuador, from HCJB. So back to Ecuadorian music right now. Hi, Comic 40s. Nice to have you here. Sheldon Harvey. Nice to have you here from Greenfield Park, Quebec. There, Nigel Lawrence. Nice to have you here from Northwest England. Frank Ireland. When I was in high school, I wrote a letter to HCJB and asked them to read it on their musical mailbag program. Even asked them to do on a certain date. They read it and asked. That's cool. As asked. That's cool. Kimberly, I love being a geek. Yeah, absolutely. Quick control. My ringtone is. Oops. That control says my ringtone. Radio Netherlands. Oh man, that wakes up everybody. That one is so. Frank Ireland download interval signal RSA. Use it as a wake up alarm. Oh man. There, Nigel Lawrence remembers RSA call sign music on 15 meters back in the 80s. Bob T, nice to have you here. Says Jill and Sheldon was listening to Podcasting International Radio Report today while on a walk. Nice job with it. Sounded great. Thanks for your creativity and continuing to broadcast. I couldn't think of the International Radio Report not being on the air, and it's going to be even better next show. I sent Sheldon a headset, USB headset, and I've improved a few things around here, so it's going to sound even more professional. But we had to do it. Come on, we can't let the International Radio Report not be there, even though we can't get to the studio. Yarabamba, Radio Tirana in Spanish was one of my favorites in the 70s, 80s, such exotic country. Take care, my friend Lair Nigel Lawrence, G0MEJ, KG0PL. Take care, Cadarius. Frank Ireland says, I learned about interval signals from DX Party Line show on ACJB, Clayton Howard. Oh, man. That is going back in time. Mike Hill, Radio Toronto was so stridently communist in the 80s. Oh, totally. Totally. I remember the first QSL card I got, which was very, let's stand straight and be there for communism. A lot of stations were like that, actually. Tom DXer, Togo. Togo was on 5047. Benin was on 5025, I think. Guinea, Zambia, Mozambique, Gabon. I remember Gabon in the afternoon was on 15475. And I think 17630 was one of their frequencies. Ivory Coast, Upper Volta, Angola, Malawi, Burundi. Oh, man. Radio Lens, do you use any fat, fuzzy, wobbly signals? I got an AirSpy Discovery and see many of these weird signals, which are internal, probably intermods from local strong. I don't have a lot of fat, fuzzy, wobbly signals most of the time. They are pretty good here. Whoops, Guinea Republic. Sorry, Sheldon. You're right on that. I don't know. Just the worst is, when you say something and you know about it, but it's like, no, I said something. Thanks for correcting, anyways. Radio Guinea from the Guinea Republic. So not that much, except for certain reason, but in general, it's not much of a problem, honestly. What else do we have? So, Miki. Oh, look at that. Oh, wow. How do you pronounce that? It's the statue of Gimli or Gimli or something like that. This is nice, actually. I didn't know that there was a community there. So there's a statue that he's sharing in Manitoba. This is a statue in Manitoba. It is kind of nice. Looks very Viking. We got Viking blood. Sorry, guys. No, it's not. It's not COVID-19. Don't worry. It can't be transmitted virtually in the airways. Take care, Eric Cottrell. Always nice to have you on board. Frank, what time again on Friday podcast? Have paper and pen ready. So Wednesday is 0 UTC, which is technically Thursday 0. And Friday is 20 UTC, 20 hours UTC. The two Bobs were not on Radio Netherlands. The two Bobs were on Swiss Radio International. The two Bobs, Swiss Radio International. Two Bobs, Swiss Radio. Here it goes. From 1987.
This altitude, we're up at what?
From 1987.
Play them to you.
Well, Armin is standing by on a direct frequency, Bob, because this would not be possible if we were on the ground. He's in Neuchâtel, about maybe 70, 75 kilometers away on the lake of Neuchâtel, at his home there. And if we didn't have this altitude, we're up at what? 2,700, 2,400 meters. That's well over 6,000 feet. We would never be able to have this communication. Calling HB9ACV on the Lake of Neuchâtel. This is HB9ASQ, Aeronautical Mobile, up in the mountains of the Sonnenland. Do you copy, Armin?
Hey, Bob, HB9ASQ, HB9 Alpha Charlie Victor, on the sailboat on the Lake of Neuchâtel. I read you 5 and 6, Bob. Go ahead.
Roger, Armin. Armin, how much power are you using from your transmitter there? Go ahead.
I'm using 1 watt into a vertical ground plane antenna. Over.
Oh boy, and Bob, what are we using? About the same?
About the same power, exactly, yeah.
Well, here's a demonstration. We're up at about 6,500 feet, and we are conducting a direct line of sight. It's not line of sight in the sense that we can see Armin, but we are up so high that this 1 watt of power from a triple...
So this is the two Bobs from 1987. Swiss Radio International, two Bobs.
That was a demonstration how far you can get with 1 watt of power if you're up in the air. Well, that piece of program was recorded from Swiss Radio International from the program Two Bobs. These two Bobs usually explain some technical problems connected with receiving.
So the two Bobs. So it wasn't Radio Netherlands. It was Swiss Radio International for the two Bobs. Pretty crazy. Prasad, nice to have you here, my friend from India. Hope you are well also, my friend. I know that All India Radio has pretty much removed all shortwave broadcasts because of the shutdown that's happening in India. I hope you are also very safe, my friend Prasad. Here in Canada, same thing. And here in Montreal, everything's closed, and we're doing live shows, listening to the radio. AIH, remember Radio Moscow International in the 80s. I forgot who the announcer was at the time, but came to the USA and was on TV for a while in the 90s. Because there was, man. Here we have Radio Moscow mailbag. So, Joe Adamov.
Most of the Western world, the Welsh and the Irish. Well, I suppose it's a habit to call the family by the name of the elder brother. It's a wrong habit, I agree. When there was the Soviet Union, the members of the family differed from each other much more than they do now. Much more than the Scots differ from the English. Yet, here's what I'm driving at. Most of the Western world at that time refers to the Soviet Union as what? As Russia. Well, we didn't mind. If you take the republics of the former Soviet Union, the Armenians in Armenia all spoke Armenian, and most of them spoke Russian, and all Georgians in Georgia spoke
Joe Adamov.
Whereas if you take the continent,
Apparently, he was here at the 1967 Montreal Expo. I wasn't born back then, so I can't say, but apparently Joe Adamov was here in the 1967 World Expo at the USSR booth, from what I remember hearing on one of the shows at one point. Radiolands, yep, Swiss Radio International. Yeah, Dave Freeman. Frank Ireland says 60-year-old and have listened to Shortwave since I was 10. Cool. Wave DXing is fun also. Frank Ireland lives near Tampa. Cool. Radiolands, wow, 2 Bobs. Yep. Dave Freeman. Shelley, is the Shortwave International Radio show still on Sunday? Yep. Yep. Me and Sheldon are still having the International Radio Report on Sundays. On Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. That's 14:30 UTC. And we actually record the show on Friday afternoon at 1 p.m. Send it in because the studios of CKUT are shut down. So we can't go there physically. So we record it at 1 p.m. We send it out, and it plays on Sunday at 14:30 UT or 10:30 Eastern. Yeah, absolutely. Ian Millett, Vladimir Posner. Prasad says, yes, 21 days total lockdown till April 14th. Here, all non-essential businesses have to be shut down until April 13th. So it sounds pretty much the same. This is incredible what's happening. We live in very, very, very unique times. AIH, remember that voice on Radio Moscow? Oh, man. Rob says, thanks for sharing the broadcast, y'all. Yeah, Payne getting 6105 on HK Radio Japan. This one is from France, Isodun transmitter set. Ian Millett. So, there's so many things. Let's see here. So here's radio. I always like, Radio Moscow. All the frequencies they were using back then was crazy. What else do we have here? This is crazy. This one is nice. If you listen to, that is a show of how many frequencies, how crazy it was, how many frequencies they would use back then at Radio Moscow. This was crazy. Just so many. Oh, yeah. There it goes.
Would like to inform our North American listeners that 9.70 megahertz in a 31-meter band is now available. Radio Moscow can be found on 17 frequencies.
17.
On 13, 16, 19, 25, 31, 41, 49, and 500 meters. That's 16 frequencies on 13, 16, 19, 25, 31, 41, 49, and 500 meters.
This is the North American service of Radio Moscow. Here's the news. The Soviet leaders, Leonid Brezhnev and Nikolai Tikhonov, have congratulated the people of Mongolia on the 35th anniversary of a treaty of friendship, cooperation, and mutual assistance between the two countries.
Man, Leonid Brezhnev.
In their message to the Mongolian leaders,
Leonid Brezhnev. This is from 1981. Radio Moscow World Service. Darn. This is incredible. That brings me back to the shortwave days that I remember, when I was young. Take care, Radio Lens. Stay safe. Nice to have you here. Next show is Friday, 20 UTC, 4 p.m. Eastern. Oh, man. Sheldon will be there even if we have to tie him to the roof rack. I will make, Ian, I will make all of the biggest effort. And we will have a live show coming from Shortwave Fest 2021. And let's just hope that everything works right and that we are going in the right direction for that to happen. But, man, I'm there. We're going to have a live show from there, and we're going to have a lot of fun. And I know I'm going to have a lot of fun also. So, Mike Hill, Leonid Brezhnev, Mr. Excitement. Thank you, Frank Ireland. AIH, Radio Moscow will also... Oh, absolutely. It was all over the bands. Absolutely. So, you know what? Let's reminisce a little bit. We got a lot of people out there. And for those of you that, are not as old as us, I'm sorry. But let's have a few stations here. Radio. Okay, here's one. So some are more difficult to have a broadcast on shortwave or something. So what interval signal is this, for those that wonder? What is the interval signal that I'm going to play now? What is this station? Payne says, I know that, but can't put my finger on it. Mike Hill, Mickey Almage has it. Kamaxi, my father told me that he listened to Radio Moscow the day Elvis died, and they were mocking us for worshiping a drug addict. Yeah, I don't know. Frank Ireland, don't know that one. That's Radio Norway. Okay, let's check it out here. So let's see here what we can bring. Oh, this one has some nice one. So let me just so we're gonna start here. Some of them were really harsh. Back in the days of the Soviet era and where there was a lot of communist countries, some of the interval signals were really, really rough. It was like very, let's get up and stand for our rights type of thing. Radio. So China Radio International had different names over time. There was radio China Radio China Radio International, of course, is today, which is very different from what that station was in the past. When I came into shortwave, it was called Radio Beijing, but before that, it was also called Radio Peking. And actually, there was an overlap. I noticed yesterday I was scanning QSL cards, and even though the station was still called Radio Beijing for me, the QSL card still had the writing of Radio Peking. And so this is... What the hell is happening? This connection is real slow tonight. And I was like, Radio Peking, come on, do something. Radio Peking from 1968. Wow. That was their interval signal.
This is Radio Peking. This is Radio Peking.
And this reminds me that's really, that interval signal was there for a long time. And you know what? If you listen to China Radio International regularly, they don't use that interval signal today, but in their programs, sometimes they will give that little glimpse of the past, and they do play this interval signal actually on their show. I've heard it in the last couple of years quite regularly, and it's like, wow, okay, this is really, Radio Peking. Actually, this is the past of what today is China Radio International. Pretty crazy. Really, really incredible. You just sent me a nice ID, Mickey. What is this? Okay. Oh, man. Wow. Wow. Iceland. Radio Ricky Sudvarpid. I got a QSL card here. I remember, when we write QSL, we write a report, we try to explain what we are listening to. And I remember in my head, it was like, okay, I'm going to write a reception report to Ricky Sudvarpid telling them I'm listening in, but I have no idea what I'm listening. I have no idea what they're talking about. And I remember all the show that I listened to for 20 minutes, there was not even a piece of music. I was like, okay, well, there's the ID at the beginning, and there was some talk by a man, and there was a woman at 1534 UT. Signal was good. I didn't have nothing to say. I'm look. I don't know how many people probably laughed at some of my reception reports that I sent back then at stations that they were in a language I never understood. And I would write in English, and I would think, well, I hope somebody speaks English. But you know what? I think some of them just like, yeah, this guy has no idea, but he probably did listen to us. Let's send him a QSL card. It was just funny. Oh man. Yeah, classic China radio and Republic of China stuff. Okay. This one is a modern one. It's still today an interval signal you will hear on the bands. So, what interval signal is this? What is this? Dave Freeman, please do. I have no problem with that, as long as it's it has to have to do with radio. And by the way, nobody has permission here to post whatever about radio. As long as it's radio oriented, I got no problem with that. It's okay. Peter Gunsyards, including the Little Red Book. Yeah, they were sending a lot of those. Like religious stations back in the 80s were sending the New Testament all to everybody. It was crazy. Oh, man. Payne, I have a rough time getting Chinese shortwave in Ontario here, even though it's one of my favorite programs. Yeah, since the Albania transmitter site has been off the air, it's been more difficult to get China radio. In the morning, around 14:15 UT, they're via Cuba on 15700. That one comes in okay. Later in the evening, 01 UT on 6180, but that one is a problem because it clashes with Radio Nacional Amazona in Brazil. Yes, Radio Japan. You guys got it right. Radio Japan. So what is this one now? Let's continue our trivia of interval signals. This one has not been on shortwave for a while. That one I found always to be very harsh as an interval signal. Yes, Mickey, you got that one too. It's called Israel. And I believe, I'm not sure. I'm not totally sure, but I believe it's one of the first, if not the first, broadcaster I received on my Realistic DX100. The first night that I listened to shortwave. Back then, they had a North American service in English in the evening. So call Israel. Yes. You know what, Payne? You made me realize that something I never thought of. NHK Radio Japan is so close to NHL hockey. It's just, it's extremely close. Okay. African refugee. Where are you located? What is this station that also has not been on shortwave for such a long time? Mickey is good. Right, Italy. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's right, Italy. In Korea. Nice to have you here, African refugee. So, okay. He's Mickey Delmage is pretty good. Bullfrog 89. Nice to have you here. R2D2 on fast forward. I like that. So, one that was mentioned earlier that I will now play. What is this station also off the air? Been a long time. You know, Sheldon Harvey, there was a club that had a contest, and one of the questions, one of the things that would give you, like, I think it was 100 points, was if Rye announcer, the Rye lady, laughs, you get 100 points. And I was like, okay, did you write into Rye and say, can she laugh or do something other? Oh, God. Radio Sofia, Mickey Dalmich. Yes, and I got the idea from our friend Mike Hill that thought the other interval signal was Radio Sofia. So, Mike Hill, Radio Prague. You should have known Radio Sofia was Radio Sofia. Okay, what is this one? So this one is, wait, let me just okay. So this is a modern one, and it's very beautiful, by the way. So this is very beautiful, and we hear it via WRMI right now, which is Radio Tirana. But Radio Tirana had a past, a communist past, that sounded like this. They kind of softened their, it went from very soft today to, okay. Next one. What is this station? What is that station? Yes, Swiss Radio International. We were talking about the two Bobs earlier. Oh man, that is interesting. So, one station that existed, some other station now has their transmitter site today. That's still in operation. What is this? No, Mickey. Remember, a station that exists today has their transmitter site. And it's from USA. And we have a well-known station today that has their transmitter site in Okeechobee, Florida. And yes, it is WYFR, which is my first ever QSL card that I've received. So WRFI is my first QSL that I got in October of 1982. First ever QSL. And you guys are going to find it really weird. And I do find it weird myself. I was actually shy to write to stations to let them know I was listening in. And I read an article. I remember reading an article in 82, and I've been listening for a couple of months. And I thought, I want to have my QSL. I'm gonna write that station. I remember I was listening to the mailbag show on WRFI. I had a mailbag show on Sundays. And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna write in. And I sent my letter. I still remember going to the post office. I'm sending this letter to the United States, wondering, what how much is going to cost me to send a letter to the United States, And ladies are like, 48 cents or something, And I sent a letter, and I still remember I waited not long. It was like 3 weeks, and I got a big letter, QSL card, schedule. It was very popular back then to send their schedule, because since the internet did not exist, one of the ways of letting everybody know when their programs are being sent out was sending paper schedules in an envelope. Yes, it existed back then. And that was my first QSL, actually. Man. So, WRMI was my first station, and WYFR now has the transmitter site, because WYFR was in Oakland, California. Their head office was in Oakland, California, but their transmitter site was in Okeechobee, Florida, which is a very big transmitter site, by the way. And when all of whatever happened went sour, because their preacher, that I remember his name, said a couple of times it was the end of the world. Well, the last time he said it was the end of the world at a certain date and it didn't happen, it kind of made the station just go down. And WRMI today has and operates the transmitter site that WYFR had when they were transmitting. And it's still in operation with a lot of really, really cool stuff. So, Michael, the waiting for the QSL card is the hardest part. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Absolutely. David Mitchell, what about Brother Stare? Okay. What station is this? Yes, Vatican Radio. Harold Camping. Thanks, Sheldon. He was the guy that, how many times did he say it was the end of the world? At least 3 times. But the last one was just too much. It's like, yeah, October 17th of this year is going to be the end of the world. Better hold on to your hats and listen to the radio. It's the end of the world. I don't know. African refugee. Ironic how the guy saying it was the end of the world now have one of the world's long surviving transmitters. Well, actually, the ones that have the transmitters are not the ones that we're talking about the end of the world. But, it's like crazy. Matt, MDK2, dope. Here, I'm gonna do another one here. Let's do another one here. What is this? And of course, that is the BBC World Service, which this can still be heard today on many of their frequencies, by the way. I don't know how many times I've tuned them. I don't know how many times I've tuned them in the last year with that Bowbell's interval signal. Sheldon, behave. Voice of pedophilia. No controversy here. What else do I have to say here? Okay. What about this one? Rampton has it. That is anybody that's been listening to the BBC when they're on 5975 kilohertz, because that's the frequency I remember every evening in North America. That was the dead-on frequency. 5975 was transmitted from, okay, another trivia. 5975 came from where? What transmitter site was 5975 kilohertz to North America with the BBC? Anybody know? That's another trivia question. 5975 came out of it was really good in North America, so it has to be closer to be good. Sheldon Harvey, Antigua. Yes, it is. Antigua, Sheldon, Ontario. No, it's not Bonaire. It was Antigua. It could have been from Bonaire, though. But no, Antigua. Sheldon has it. So that's good. That's good. Okay. And this is... So, this? Not this one. Not this one. This one. What's that? So what is that? This one we also hear today. We also hear it today. I've heard it in the last year also. So that's the BBC. That's the BBC also. But what does this interval signal represent? Anybody? That's still the BBC again, Sheldon. I think the African service uses it a lot, absolutely. But what? There's a second question that comes with this. What does it represent? I'll give a hint. If you're a musician. Whoops, sorry, this is the wrong one. Wait, trying to radio mixed in. If you're a musician, what's this? If you play the notes B, B, C on a keyboard, it sounds like that. These are the actual notes of B, B, and C. For any musician, it sounds like that. That's a good trivia question. B, B, C. Now they did one more. Maybe it's like da 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 da, but it's BBC. There were 4 notes, but it's BBC, Sheldon. I know it's BBC. They did 4, but it's BBC. Because I did realize there was one, but it's BBC, but it's BBC. Absolutely. It's musical. I don't know why they didn't. I don't know why they didn't stop at 3 or something. Send me a good one. Okay. Let's check it out. Apparently, I got a good one here. It's kind of fun tonight. Oh, yeah, maybe, Sheldon. You know what? Maybe. BBC Broadcasting. That could be. That could be. I don't know why. I never understood why they did 3 instead of 4. So I don't know. Because BBC was British Broadcasting Corporation. But I know because somebody had told me that it was the notes, and of course I play guitar, so the first thing I did was like, oh, BBC. I was like, oh yeah, look at that, it's BBC. But there is one more note. Maybe that's another trivia question we need to find the answer. Why was there 4 notes instead of 3? Oh, that's pretty good, Mickey. Oh man, that is okay. I don't think a lot of people know that one. Yes, play. Okay, this, yeah. I'm afraid to actually pronounce Radio Saka Yakutia, Republic of Russia. This is like really. So, Payne, what? You play guitar? Here's the proof. Oh god. It's a Fender Stratocaster guitar. So this is my good old Strat Fender Stratocaster guitar from 1989. Always here, but I haven't played in a while. I'm a little rusty. So what else do we have? Let's check it out here. Kind of fun tonight. Let's go down in memory lane and check out what else can we Yeah, that guitar is 31 years old. Absolutely, Bullfrog. When I used my when I would actually have my guitar courses. So this one, what is this station? Oh, they're half a tone apart. Oh, well, let me check it out, Nick Mayakovsky. We're going to check it out again. So that's, yeah, okay. Deutsche Welle. You guys got it. I'm going to check it out, Nick Mayakovsky. Oh, this one. This one from very nearby, but from a very long time. What is that one? That's from a long time. That is not far from what I heard just before. Same area. Oh, it could be V for victory. That's true, Mickey. You know what? You guys are now. It's interesting. I like that because you know what? It makes us think about whatever I've learned and whatever we need to learn. What's happening? So this was extremely close to the last, but that's absolutely possible. I like that V for victory, Mickey Delminge. That is that's a good one. That could be the case, absolutely. So again, what's that station? Radio Berlin Internationals was in the same country technically that, well, than the Deutsche Welle, but you know when they were split apart. So that is interesting. Food for thought. Finland, says Mike Hilbert. Nope. Let's okay, this one's easy for a lot of us, but what's this good old station? Whoops. Wrong one. Let me check it out here. This is not. That's weird. That's not what it's supposed to be. Okay. This is weird. Okay. That's good old YouTube. Radio Berlin used to send German language cassettes, starting learning German. I had a lot. They would send a lot of stuff. Radio Berlin International was pretty good correspondence on shortwave. Radio Canada. Whatever do we have? So, whoops! I said it live. So here's the station.
Radio Canada International.
Radio Canada International.
That was
Radio Canada International.
Radio Canada International.
And there was Radio Canada International Shortwave. And there's one of the transmission that's kind of nice from man, I can't find it now. There was a commercial for Radio Canada International in 1978. I never knew that. I never knew that. That's interesting. There's so many things on YouTube that you look at and you're like, wow, okay. Okay. Radio in the United States. Yes, absolutely. Okay, let's so of course, if you listen to Shortwave for a long time, what can we impress you with? What's this one? Whoops. Start it again. Oops, I lost the let me try to find a anyways. Let's say AWR. Okay, here it is. Yeah. Okay. Adventist World Radio. Kimberly misses Radio Canada International. Yeah. You know, you're not alone. A lot of us miss a lot of stations, I think, from okay, what's this station? Some of you might know. It's still in use today. I remember finding this very creepy on Shortwave. For some reason, that was so creepy. So Mickey Delmage has it. Mickey Delmage. All India Radio. Absolutely. Station from the past. What was this station from the past? Now, that's the communist era interval signal, because that station had a more softer, modern, Radio Polonia. They had so they were on the air for after the communism era, and they had a different interval signal. But that one is the rough one, for the communist era. That was kind of harsh. That was really harsh. Okay. And this is so, to give you guys a hint. This is a station that is still on the air today. But the interval signal you hear is probably 40 years old. Around 40 years old, if not more. So, what could this be? It's not playing. Yeah, man. That's a really hard one. So this station is still on the air today. No, it's not, Mickey. It's the Voice of Turkey interval signal. It's like from 1975. This is crazy. What station had this interval signal? Now, there's two answers possible on this one. There's two answers on this one. What is this station? And it has two possible answers that will be correct. So if you answered Radio Yugoslavia, you were right. And if you answered Radio Serbia and Montenegro, you were also correct. Because, when they had that war, it became complicated and the name changed throughout that time period. What station was this one? Nope, that's not good. That's not good. Let me just check it out here. I'm trying to find something. So what is this one? What station was that? Station from the past? Radio Denmark. And what was Radio Denmark? They never broadcast, except for a special broadcast they did. They never broadcast in English. And that was weird. That was weird. This one is a station today. Yes, España. Rampton, you got it. Radio Estéreo de España, Spain. By the way, I listened this week, and there's no French, English, or any other language except the national Radio Estéreo de España or Radio Nacional de España feed. They have totally stopped English, French, and every types of transmissions. I was listening this week. I listened tonight, and they're not there in those languages at all now. Okay, what is this station? What is that station? Rampton, probably the same thing for me. If you listen to shortwave for such a long time, all of these things are in your head. But they're really far down. I mean, imagine all of us hearing these sounds right now. I'm sure even some of us heard one of them and kind of felt the moment when we were back in time doing something specific. So once again, what is this? Radio Argentina al exterior. Radio Argentina al exterior. Yep. Brazilian, no, it's Argentina. Argentina. Man. What about this station? What about this station? Oh, thanks, Sheldon. Sheldon, Sheldon is the guy that dishes out all of that stuff. Because not only does he want to know and he wants to make sure we are right, but he's going to use it next year at the the Winterfest in his trivia show. So the four notes BBC interval signal is Morse code for the letter V, but the notes are B, 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 E. Thank you. Mika Dalmage, Radio Finland. They're saying, you know what, Matt? That's a good idea. Because when they announced they were changing the 90 KBC to 9925, I think it was a little early. In July, in June, July, August, 9925, yes, we'll make it. But in this early, 9925 would be a rough one. So I think it's a good move that they stay on 5960 and with the low solar cycle also. That's why when I was a teenage guy in the 80s, they would change schedules 4 times a year because every season needs their frequencies. You can't today. They try to simplify it with 2 schedule seasons, but the problem with 2 schedule seasons is that there's that transition time where I don't hear you, and that's not helping our hobby. And at the same time, 4 times changing the schedules is not necessarily helping the hobby also. Pretty crazy. So Radio Finland, yes, absolutely. So hey guys, been on for what, 3 hours and 7 minutes. I want to thank everybody for being here, being great fans. Thank you for tonight's show. It was a lot of fun to be here. We went back into memory lane a little bit, learned some new stuff, changed some of the stuff that I thought was true and is not. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. And always nice to have you on board. Next show is Friday. And don't forget, Sheldon, I'll be waiting for your call on Friday at 1 p.m. to record the International Radio Report. And Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, 20 hours Universal Time. And hope that you enjoyed the show, that it got your mind off of whatever's happening. It got me a little bit in the nostalgia here with all of this. Sheldon's going to find some stuff to talk about. Hey, we talk about radio. I bet you can do, you know what, Sheldon? I bet we can just do the Skype call with nothing and fill up 30 minutes with like radio stuff like this. I think it would be just, and no weather. And I'll have, by the way, Sheldon, a very different space weather. We're gonna. I've organized a little something that the space weather stuff is gonna be in a certain way of past week, next week. You're gonna see, and no weather. I don't know why. Some people don't like the weather, apparently. Maybe it's time to end the show. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. And thanks for being great fans, being here all the time. Hope you enjoyed tonight's show or today's show, because some of you are Thursday. And stay safe, okay? And just enjoy radio, okay? Yeah, yeah, Mickey. I'm sure you do miss the weather. Stay safe. And see you soon on the show next Friday, 20 UTC, 8 p.m. 8 p.m. No, 4 p.m. Eastern. I want to laugh. Bye, everyone. Stay safe, okay? Because I want to see you. And don't worry about what's happening. You know what? You got your radios, you got your stuff. Like I said, stay home. Do yourself a little the weeder. The weeder. Put yourself in a little bubble and create yourself a little space to listen to the radio where you feel cozy and in your little environment with your radio. And don't just listen to the news. Okay, don't do that 24-hour news stuff. You're gonna go nuts. Go and listen to what else is on the bands, because there's a lot more than 24-hour news of whatever's happening. Okay, take care, everybody, and see you soon. Oh man, bye, peace, stay safe.